because customer service in terms of excellence has already become a key element, a differentiator in terms of competitiveness.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in many stats, also American ones, show that customers are willing to spend more buying from a brand that delivers an outstanding customer service. So it's not just a matter of be kind, give the best price, and be cheap. That's not the case. People want more from brands.
Hi, this is Kayla Hollitz from ThinkSEM.com, and you are listening to Ready, Set Podcast, the best place for rants, raves, and real conversation with some of the smartest, savviest, and sometimes snarkiest voices in digital marketing. And here's the dynamic duo ready to discuss digital, Brooke Ballard and Mallie Hart.
Hey, Brooke-tastic, how are you?
I'm having podcasting woes because, my mic bit the dust. And so I tried to play around with it and figure it out. And it turns out it's a little cord, and I could just order the cord. But I think I'm just going to get a fancy new mic.
Okay, there you go.
How are you?
I'm fine. I actually have a little story to share. I always crate up the dog before we record, but today I actually had to shut out the cats. Specifically because I think one of my cats, that cat being named Cat Damon, is trying to kill me.
Why? Oh no, cats can be evil like that. What did Cat Damon do?
Well, she's evil, and it's a few things. She's very small, and she's very young, and she's black. So in the middle of the night, if I have to wander around, she constantly trips me. And then today, I was on another Skype call, and it was just going along, and then all of a sudden, from the floor, straight up onto the back of my chair, which is a tall chair, it's an office chair, she just springs up and just sinks her claws half into the chair and half into me.
So it sounds like maybe she's young and she thinks she's playing, like, kind of evil. She's not genuinely, like, evil. She's, like, doesn't know how evil she is.
She might think she's playing, but I think she's just evil. And I'm really thinking I need to change her name to Cat Demon instead of Cat Damon.
Oh, that's seriousness right there.
And I have, for the show notes, I have a photo of her with the most insane devil eyes that I'm going to have to share, because just so people understand my fear.
You should couple it with a picture of some of your scratches.
They're mostly healed now. I don't think I can get the ones on my neck because it's just an odd angle.
Oh my god, she really is trying to kill you.
But I do.
This is why I'm a dog person. I know I'm going to get some backlash for that, but that is why I'm a dog person. Cats scare me sometimes.
She can be a little frightening, so we're gonna have to see how this goes. Anyway, if you hear some scratching at the door, it's her trying to get in.
Dun, dun. It's like a scary zombie movie.
All right. Well, why don't we bring in our guest, since he's sitting in the wings, being ever so polite and not laughing at my ridiculous cat fear. So let's have him join us.
I'm going to have a fun one. I'm going to have a fun name to pronounce. I'm going to get this right. Okay. I've been practicing. Today we are talking to Paolo Fabrizio. Did I get it right?
Yes, that's excellent. Thank you, Brooke. Hi, everybody.
We're so glad that you're with us today, and you're just ever so lucky that Brooke didn't try to do the mashup between her Southern accent and an Italian accent.
Why not?
I just don't know how that would have come across.
My accent is non-existent, shall we say.
No, I thought you did great.
So Paolo, for everybody who does not know who you are, can you just kind of give us a brief description of who you are, what makes you tick, and what you do?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm Paolo. I'm Italian. I'm from Milan. I'm a consultant, blogger, and speaker. I'm a customer service pioneer, having taken part to the first insurance web startups in the 90s here in Milan. So I worked a lot with British insurance companies, and I saw the development from the first call centers in Italy to the e-commerce, web, and social media customer service. So, my professional life cycle so far has been constantly marked by customer obsession in terms of customer satisfaction. So now the tools have changed, but satisfaction has become more and more important. I would say crucial.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we are so excited to talk about that topic. But before we dive into our topic, we actually like to get to know you a little bit better on a personal level, just so we can be ready to have a little fun and laugh, and because we do a lot of that on the show. So this is not the scary random question. This is just to get to know you better question. So I saw, while I was looking around online so I could figure out what to ask you, I saw that you have a website, and it's tied to some of your social accounts, and it's called Social Media Scrum. So it led me to ask, are you a rugby fan?
Yeah, I'm a raving rugby fan. I love rugby. That's my favorite sport, and that's not very common in Italy because everybody here loves soccer.
Yes.
I like soccer as well, but rugby is definitely my favorite one. I love so much rugby that in 2011, I flew to New Zealand, which is on the other side of the world, to have not only a great vacation, but also to watch 2 or 3 matches of the Rugby World Championship.
Oh.
So, that's real love and passion. And I also love, as for my passion, I've always loved music.
Oh.
Every kind of music. I used to play drums in a rock band.
Wow.
I like jogging, so I have lots of interest.
That's fantastic.
But lots of interest.
That's fantastic. And so I'm glad. I was like, there can't be anything else that Scrum means. So I did a little search online, and it actually is some financial software. But I was pretty.
No. I heard about that. But Scrum is a technical rugby move. So, when all opposite teams push each other.
Yeah.
And, the schedule, the timing is regulated by the referee who says, not ready, set, podcast, but ready, set, go, or crouch, touch, engage, and then the scrum begins. So every team tried to push towards and push this back the other in order to gain and get the ball. That's scrum.
I've seen it. So it looks like both teams involved in a very violent huddle. If you watch football, is what it looks like.
Oh yeah, yes it is.
I'm just sitting over here in the corner with my rugby duds hat on. So don't mind me.
I don't know a lot about it. I've read about it because it is, it's sort of that hybrid kind of. I'm a soccer player, so you can't play soccer without at least knowing a little bit about rugby. So I would like to learn more about it, and to go watch it in New Zealand must have been fantastic.
Yes, you have a chance because next September in England, the Rugby World Cup will take place.
Oh, maybe I'll get to watch it on the BBC.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
You should.
Now we're gonna bring Brooke back into the conversation. So we are going to let Paolo rave about social media customer service or social customer service. And Paolo, this is your topic, so we want to let you just take it away.
Yes. Well, I think that this is a very fantastic era because online conversations have totally changed the rules between customers and brands. Talking back as my first call center experiences in the 90s, any kind of sentiment or feeling during a conversation was within a private conversation. Online conversations made any conversation public. Mm-hmm. So the consequences of any kind of feeling between a customer and a brand is listened by an incredible number of clients and prospects. So brands now need to be aware and take care of their conversations very carefully. And still, most brands are not aware of the consequences. I do not mean only negative, but also positive consequences when they try to open new customer service channels such as social networks. I mean, Twitter and Facebook are the most common. But recently, today, I wrote a post about a Canadian branch of TD Bank. I think it's an American bank, TD Bank. And they just started in Canada to launch a new channel using text messages. And I think that's very smart because that kind of bank showed how was very smart because they started using social networks as customer service channels 3 years ago.
Oh, great.
They learned, in 2011. They learned the language, they started to use them, they engaged the customer very well, and now they went one step further, adding also text messages and also having another part of customers. And I think everybody in the world has got their smartphone on their hand during the whole day, back to private conversations. So people is able to choose whatever the channel they like. So my view, which is not only mine, thanks goodness, is that brands are going towards multi-channel customer service, which does not mean replacing traditional channels such as phone or emails with social networks, rather integrating new channels. And that's a very big challenge for any kind of brand.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you know what? We use TD Bank actually, and I love them. I think that they really do embody customer service, and so I think it's so interesting. You piqued my interest. I want to go take a look now at their social media and maybe this SMS program. But isn't that funny? Because they're a financial institution, and it's so interesting to see a financial institution getting it right, because we all assume, based on, Bank of America, who's like the most hated bank in the U.S.
You can add Italy as well.
Italy as well. That they just can't get it right. But it doesn't, and a lot of people will say that's because they're in the financial sector. But what I'm hearing you say, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that if you really truly embody a customer service mindset, it doesn't matter if you're a bank.
Yeah. Being customer-centric is very important, but it's not enough anymore. What marks the difference between a good brand or another one, regardless the industry, is how customers are satisfied, whether they're satisfied or not. How can you deliver superior, outstanding customer experience? Because the very moment is the word of mouth, which has been amplified by social networks. So, of course, I can say that also banks and insurance companies here in Italy have not a very, very transparent reputation. But some here just open their web branches with a totally new culture. So I think that even before talking about using social channels, many brands need to adopt a new customer culture, because they need to understand that as long as they provide a superior customer experience, their customers will do what they do every day, using the smartphones or the web to amplify their positive impressions. And people trust people. People do not trust anymore to advertising. Advertising is very useful, but it's not enough to convince consumers to buy.
No.
And consumers are not willing to buy just, relying on advertising. No matter if we're talking about banks or vehicles or any kind of industry. People need to be assured, so they just, they ask for points of view or impressions about talking to their colleagues, to their family, to their friends, but also they believe to perfect strangers. If you've already tried to check what people say about an insurance company or a bank or another kind of company, because you're interested in the products or services they are selling, but you're not totally convinced yet. So you're looking for independent reviews. Independent reviews are those by customers, are those by bloggers, those who can be considered as independent, and the sum of your personal experience, maybe asking for a quote, and add with other people's experiences, let you decide to whether to purchase or not. That's very delicate, and also whether to stay as a customer or leave.
I think it's so great that you said that, because you tie in that there are two very different parts of customer service. There's customer service and customer experience before you purchase. And then there's customer experience and customer service after the purchase, if anything goes wrong or if there are questions or anything else like that. And I would say more often than not, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the problems tend to happen in the second half. We're really, really good at making sure we close the deal. And then once the deal is closed, that's when it seems that you see brands, especially some of the bigger brands, which is frightening, really drop the ball, so to speak.
Yes.
Right. And if we take that even a step further, with Google's study on the 0 moment of truth, there's even that third level, right, of customer service that ties into that 0 moment of truth. So there's like the before you buy, the after you buy for customer experience. And then there's that 0 moment of truth when somebody reaches for their phone or their tablet or jumps on the computer to go find out more about that brand. That second step that you pointed out that was more important, Mallie, will really tie into that 0 moment of truth and help someone buy based on how well they're doing with customer experience and customer service after other people have purchased.
Absolutely.
So I believe it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking.
And Paolo, would you mind, why is it that it's that second half, the experience after the sale? Why do you think that falls apart so often?
Well, because it's a matter of customer culture, or brand culture, I would say. Mm-hmm. Before the internet and social networks in particular, any kind of brand, whether international or local here in Italy, pushed towards sales. So most brands just made promises before closing the deal. Mm-hmm. But making too many promises means failing to meeting customer expectations later, because many brands made so many promises they could not just match, and customers get used to know that half of what brands promised was not true. Mm-hmm. But the customers' expectations have changed. What is very interesting is not only the new tools such as social networks turn private conversations into public conversations, but also they influenced how you and me, as customers, have greater expectations in terms of transparency, in terms of quickness, talking about, sending inquiries via Twitter and expecting to get an answer, response within an hour instead of a couple of days after sending an email. Mm-hmm. So customers are pushing towards brands in terms of new, strong expectations. And those brands who do not understand it very quickly and adapt their way of their brand or their customer culture are bound to fail. Because customer service in terms of excellence has already become a key element, a differentiator in terms of competitiveness.
Oh.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So in many stats, also American ones, show that customers are willing to spend more buying from a brand that delivers an outstanding customer service. So it's not just a matter of be kind, give the best price, and be cheap. That's not the case. People want more from brands.
There was a golden nugget in there. Did you hear it, Mallie?
He said a lot of things that were really smart in there, so I think there might have been more than one.
The biggest thing I took away was the phrase, "Have I met my promise?" And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's creating an ad and you send, that consumer from that ad to a landing page, then obviously to buy the product, then the follow-up from the product, all along those lines, and from the beginning to the end of the marketing campaign, you need to be asking, "Have I met my promise?"
And that brings
That's what I took away.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about that because there's a phrase you and I both use fairly often, and that's overpromise, underdeliver. And you see that happen just far, far too often. And I think it all ties into, I thought another very smart thing he said was the whole idea of the quick reply. And I know we have talked about this and I've written about it, that sometimes the quick reply isn't necessarily the correct reply. And so we have to somehow meet in the middle and get a decently fast response time along with the right answer to customer questions. And that's not necessarily easy to do.
No, it's not. Because sometimes we don't have all the answers, especially, for people like us who are maybe operating on behalf of a brand. You try to prep for all the possible questions that you could get, but trust me, you will get questions that you don't know how to answer. And sometimes even getting an answer from someone takes a while. So, for me in that situation, after a certain point of time, because I do want to show that we're listening, I'll just have to say, you know what, I'm checking that out and I promise to get back to you soon. But yeah, I agree. Like you want to say that it's easy to respond right away, but that's not necessarily always the case.
Especially when it comes to something, and Paolo, I think you'll agree with this, when it's something like somebody's finances, the quick response might be nice if, it's an easy fix, but when somebody's worrying about, their debt, or worried about, a fraudulent charge on their account or something like that, that requires a little more finesse than fast, I think.
Fast is absolutely essential if customers get in touch using social networks. But at the same time, brands need to be quick to respond wisely.
Yes, wisely.
I really agree with what you're saying. So the first thing is to acknowledge the receipt. So, Mr. Paolo Fabrizio, I received your query. We're dealing with it. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you cannot wait to do that. Even though you need time to investigate and avoid to give quick, silly answers. Okay? But you need to do that. Because if I send you an email as customers, I do not have any great expectations. I'm glad if you answer me within the same day. But if I send you the same kind of question with the same words via Twitter or Facebook, my expectations of the first feedback, I don't mean that this first reply will solve my issue, but I need and I want you to give me a first feedback within a couple of hours.
So you're saying...
I would have not used such channel.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
So people tend, boil. Like boiling water. Did you ever make pasta?
Oh, yes, we make pasta.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I just did it tonight. And it takes an average 10 minutes before boiling. Okay? Using social channels, it takes 1 minute. And boiling means, people getting nervous. And people starting to write, everybody, they're not answering me. I wrote them 1 hour ago. What an awful service. Regardless, they're honest or not, but everybody is listening. That's the problem. Back to public conversations. That's the problem. That's an issue, and that's also a challenge, of course.
Absolutely, and I think what you said about you have to acknowledge first, and I think as long as a customer or a prospect, either one, gets that acknowledgement and you let them know, we are looking into this. We want to get you the correct answer, but we just wanted you to know we got your query, we got your question, and we're on it. I think that's all that's necessary. Then they realize, hey, I'm important. And they also realize that, hey, they're not going to just give me some fast answer that doesn't really mean anything. They're going to look into the issue.
Yeah. Firstly, I acknowledge you as a person, even before as a customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's customer service. That's not technologies. That's not social networks.
Yes.
So, sorry.
No, sorry. You first.
No, you first.
I was just going to say, I think it also plays to the whole crisis management part of customer service because, when there is a crisis, I've often found that the biggest thing people want, and by people I mean customers or consumers, is communication. They just want to feel like they've been heard, and that communication is so key in the crisis. So I think you're hitting on like another really big point in my mind, which could be a whole other topic, is that, in a crisis situation, just reaching out and saying, hey, we have received your request, or we hear what you're saying, or we understand your frustration, we're working on getting a solution to that now, is so much better than ignoring it or coming back with something defensive or all the other things that we see brands doing so horribly.
And I would love to share a really quick example of somebody just really getting it and being on the ball. Earlier this week, SEO for WordPress, Yoast, put out an update and it broke the websites. Any website that did the upgrade of the plugin broke. It was fixed, I kid you not, in 20 minutes. He was on the forum. He got on the creator himself, got on the WordPress forums, saw the questions, was answering back while his engineers and techs were working on it. And it was fixed, solved, easy solution in 20 minutes.
Wow.
That's customer service. And that's a great customer experience. And even though it broke sites for a couple minutes, people are going to continue to use that plugin. And this is a free plugin. We don't pay for it.
Yeah.
That's just fantastic customer service. And also just a response time. And it was the same thing. Over the course of the whole 20 minutes, he was like, we're looking into it. We think it's this. He was keeping us updated about the process. And I think that's important when you can't give a fast answer, that you let them know that you're going through a process. We've ruled this out. Okay, we realized that this was a fraudulent charge, so we're going to take it off your account. But now we're going to take the next step and secure your account. I'm going back to banking for some reason with this because we brought it up, so let's stay with it. So I just wanted to share a real-time example that, everybody who came away from that, they didn't remember that their sites were down for 20 minutes. They remembered that it was a great fix and a great experience getting the fix in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Isn't that a business fundamental follow-up? But so many people miss that fundamental for some reason.
Yeah. Yes. Because people are confused. We're living in a area of social distractions. I don't mean people distracting things, but we're always distracted by lots of technology. So people and brands try hard to be focused, but they get distracted every time. And I thank you very much, you, Brooke and Mallie, for the examples and the consideration you just mentioned. You, Brooke, because you mentioned crisis situations. And Mallie, because you gave a great example of how intelligent, wise brands are very quick to handle and solve and turn crises that can be easily and very fast become flames as crisis management into great customer experience that even reassure the customers, which after this situation are more willing to share their great experience as customers. That's a key factor, and that's very interesting because yesterday night I attended a very interesting panel in a university here in Milan, and crisis managers from big Italian brands such as Luxottica, which owns big brands like Ray-Ban glasses, and Barilla, of course. You know I love pasta.
Yes, now we know he really loves pasta.
2 times in the same podcast. And really, I had to face a very serious crisis management a couple of years ago when one of I think the CEO, made a statement which was negative towards gays. And
I remember that.
6 hours, every kind of websites in the world, because Barilla is a global brand, was affected. Was, the new was relaunched, and all the Twitter and Facebook accounts were attacked, and this was a big crisis. But this manager showed us the details that they were very prompt to reassure people, to say that there has been a misunderstanding, and they also had a team prepared to counter-attack or defend with information about their corporate culture, that after a very, very difficult month in terms of brand reputation, back to money in terms of results, they just suffer very slightly consequences. Other big brands gave their experiences, but it's very important how quick you reply for the first time, but also the content of your information, that you also say, okay, we're dealing with this issue, and they will let you know after doing step 2, and not say, we'll tell you later. No matter if we're talking about opening a new bank account or getting safe after a car crash. It's the same.
It is.
People need to be constantly informed, especially if they're nervous or anxious because of an issue. And customer service means getting life easier for customers.
It absolutely
in terms of
does.
saving time and avoiding issues.
That was...
Then money, of course. Then money matters.
Money does matter, but...
Yeah, it does.
No, that was... I think you wrapped up what we were talking about fantastically there. I mean, I couldn't have summed it up any better. What about you, Brooke?
No, I totally agree. I think, it's such an important part of what we do to make money. This is how people are making money today. And so those sales-minded companies kind of need to take note and pay attention and realize that all of this, warm and fuzzy customer experience and customer service that we're talking about is how big brands are actually, and small brands, burgeoning brands, all of that stuff, that's how they are making money today. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, thank you so much for joining us with that topic, but we're not done yet, Paolo, so don't you go anywhere. We got some more parts of the show to get going here. So I'm going to give it back to Brooke, and we're going to go into the last little bit of the show here.
Yeah, so Paolo, we know that you are writing all over the place, and you're even doing so with some English articles. So please do tell that where our audience can find you. I know Curati is one of the places that you're newly writing for. So can you tell our audiences how to locate you there and what your articles are all about?
Well, yes, that's true. I started as a contributor for Curati because I love writing also in English. And you can find also my English articles on my LinkedIn profile, Paolo Fabrizio. So far, I've written 37 articles, and I really enjoy writing. And just let me know that I'm trying to be very brave, because I've also launched my YouTube channel with a specific English playlist, so you can test how badly I can be in front of a video. And you can just turn back to podcast where you can just listen to my voice.
And it's a lovely voice, and I'm sure it's just as lovely on video, so don't...
No. No. Stay on podcast.
Well, you're braver than we are, because we would certainly not want the world to see us in our PJs the way that we tend to look when we're doing the podcast. So, although I'm actually dressed today. Brooke, I know you're not. I am dressed today. So
I'm rocking my Penn State sweatpants today. # we are.
All right. Now, Paolo, now it's time for the scary part of the show. It is the time on the show when, and I just have to let you know that I keep turning to the side because there's a little black foot coming on the door wanting to come in and attack me. But anyways, back to Cat Damon. Now's the time on the show where we have a little fun with random question roulette. And what that is we have fans of the show share a question they want us to ask of our interviewees. And I have one for you, Paolo. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Great. This is a fun one. And it's scary, not that it's scary for you, but the content of the question is kind of scary. This comes from Matt Crawford of Social Strategies, and Matt lives in and works in Australia. So this is why this question. Which Australian animal, insect, reptile, or other creature would you be most scared to meet?
A crocodile.
Very good! A crocodile. They are kind of scary.
Have you ever heard about a book? The title is 10 Ways to Die in Australia. Yeah, by 100 different kind of animals and insects that can kill you in Australia. That's pretty scary.
It is scary. I actually went and checked out a list because I wanted to be able, just in case you didn't know any Australian animals, and sometimes that happens, I wanted to have a response. And a crocodile was one of the top 10
really?
Scariest creatures in Australia. It was actually, because people know about it, it was higher up on the list. It wasn't as scary. I would not want to come across a cassowary. And a cassowary is a gigantic blue ostrich-like bird that is just insanely vicious. And Brooke knows this, I hate birds. I think birds are rodents with wings, and I can't stand them. And if that thing came anywhere near me, I would lose it.
Oh my God, I'm getting a visual and it's delicious.
Now Brooke's going to send me birds or something.
Mine's boring. Mallie, I think you know this, but I have an extreme fear of sharks. Extreme. Like when I go to the beach, which I love the beach, I am like constantly scared that my leg's going to get bitten off by a shark. So mine would be a great white shark.
They were on the list too. They were also up high like the crocodiles because people know about them, and it is fairly easy if you have any brains at all to stay away from them. The ones that were super scary on the list and are harder to stay away from were the snakes and the jellyfish.
Ooh, yeah.
So they have some serious bugs and slithery things and ocean creatures that could really get you. So I thought it was a pretty cool question. And everybody gets an A+ for naming an Australian creature. Good job, everybody.
I postpone any trip to Australia.
I think some of those creatures are also in New Zealand, Paolo. You just were lucky enough to stay away from them.
Oh, that's very safe because, due to the mild temperatures, there are no snakes, no crocodiles, no dangerous creatures, just penguins and whales. So it's very safe. So I read the book before going out there because I was pretty scared. I thought it was pretty same compared to Australia, but it's not. It's very safe. So,
interesting. Good to know.
Yeah.
We don't have to be scared. We can go check out the Kiwis, but we got to stay away from the Aussies.
Oh, yes. But the kiwi is also a bird.
Yes,
a national
I know.
Bird, and you will hate it, Mallie.
No, when I think of kiwis, I think of the fuzzy green fruit.
All right. Oh, yes. They're delicious.
They are good.
Yeah.
Paolo, thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I really loved getting to know you because we've been connected online for a long time, but it was so great to hear your voice and get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, the same for me. It was my pleasure to have this great conversation with both of you, and it was also fun. I like the mixing of fun and talking about, professional issues, and that's what I like most when I get in touch with some professionals, especially from the United States. And I like this approach. Yeah.
We try our hardest. Yes, go ahead, Brooke. Go ahead, Brookie.
So, Paolo, before we go, where can our listeners connect with you online? Because I'm sure they're going to want to reach out and talk to you. Well, I would like to reach out and talk to you just because you have such a lovely accent in person. But if they want to talk to you online, Where else can they reach you?
Well, almost everywhere in the social atmosphere. On Twitter, of course, on Google+, on my LinkedIn account, of course, on Facebook, on Instagram, almost everywhere.
Yeah.
I just not mention my Italian blogs for those who do not speak Italian.
Well,
we'll find those too, don't you worry. And we'll link them in the show notes for all of our Italian reading and or speaking.
Great. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm going to thank you with the only Italian I know, grazie. And, and I know that one too.
You're welcome.
I made a big joke earlier. I was actually talking to Robert Caruso, and he said grazie, and I said, oh, I don't know what to say to that. And he wrote pray, and I did know. And he said prego, and I'm like, oh, isn't that spaghetti sauce? And he was like, oh my goodness. So,
yes, that's great.
So we do like to have fun, and you were an absolutely fantastically fun guest, and we will definitely have to have you back.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. All right, Brooke, it was another fun time. You get to feeling a little bit better. I know you're a little under the weather.
Thank you.
No problem. And we will be back soon with another episode of Ready, Set, Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.